Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are reading the chapter Reproduction in Plant. It is chapter number 5. So far we have studied about reproduction, parts of a flower and pollination. As we have also discussed before that in sexual reproduction in plants, the first stage is pollination, which is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. After pollination has occurred, the next process is fertilization. Now, what is fertilization? Fertilization is the process of joining of male sex cell and female sex cell to form seeds. Now we will discuss the steps in fertilization. After pollination, some of the pollen grains which are carried by either wind, insects, bats or birds reach the carpel and stick to the stigma. The pollen grain produce a tiny tube called the pollen tube which grows down the style into the ovary. Once they have entered the ovary, it goes towards the ovule, which is the female cell. When one of the pollen tube reaches the ovule, it bursts open. A male nucleus from the pollen grain moves down the pollen tube to join with the nucleus of female sex cell, the ovule. When the nuclei of pollen grain and nuclei of ovule have joined together, the ovules are said to be fertilized. The fertilized ovule then eventually becomes a miniature plant called the embryo. Later, the ovule becomes seed. Its outer wall starts to become hard and forms a tough seed coat. Later, the ovary around the ovule becomes a fruit. The seeds that are formed during fertilization need to be dispersed. If all seeds produced by one plant fell to the ground around the parent plant, there would not be enough room for all the seeds to grow. To make sure that plants can grow from seed without too much competition from each other, seeds are scattered away from parent plant. Different ways of seed dispersal are with the help of animals, wind, water and explosion. Animal dispersal. Some animals help in dispersing seeds, like birds who eat brightly colored juicy fruits like blackberries and strawberries. The hard seed cannot be digested in their bodies, so they pass the seed in its droppings. Wherever the seed falls, a new plant grows there. Other animals like squirrels bury nuts and acorns in different places so that they can eat them later in winter. These animals, however, forget where they have hidden the fruit, and later in spring a new plant grows out there. Seeds can also be dispersed with the help of wind. There are some plants like dandelions which have hairy parachutes on them. Whenever there is wind, the seeds are scattered away. Other seeds like that of pine trees have wings. When the wind rocks the plant, the seeds are scattered. Some plants have seeds that are dispersed with the help of explosive mechanism. The fruits of peas and lupin are pods. When the pods dry, they split open, curl back and suddenly shoot seeds away from the parent plant. A few seeds are also dispersed by water. Some plants like coconut have a spongy layer of fiber around it. Fibers trap air which helps the coconut to float on water. A coconut can float for 100 km from one island to another. Seeds of water lilies have a smaller spongy covering which allows them to float in lakes and rivers. Thank you.